Their lairs.
Let's get into the layers.
Water.
Yes, but before we get into water, I just want to say they really don't have layers.
They kind of just
like a water is pretty broad.
Their layers,
like
their food.
A lot of creatures want to like go into a cave or kind of have that security of a lair. For a lot of reasons, they don't have them. One is what we talked about in the personality section, where they just feel they are alpha predators, so they don't feel fear really. The second one is that they're always killing things, so they're constantly having to move territory to territory because they run out of food. So they really don't have time to find a lair. And that's only really different in colder climates, if they even are in a cold climate, just because they are reptiles. So like they avoid colder climates, but they are capable of resisting it if they need to.
There's only one type of Hydra that actually likes cold climates.
Again, there's lots of mutants, but we're just talking basic ones right now. So let's just forget mutants because they're all different. Like there's an exception to literally everything a Hydra is because there's so many mutants. So let's just forget them for now and talk about basic Hydras.
Like can one like shoot lasers and the other one can grow like Wolverine claws, and like one can like be like telepathic.
I wouldn't call those exceptions to anything.
Mutants, Jake. They're the X Hydras.
Oh, you're the X Hydra. Yeah, they only have two heads and they're always interlapping to make an X.
That's sick.
Yeah, there you go. Free homebrew right there.
Boom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no layers, but you did mention aquatic.
They're like their territory, I guess. They normally want to chill next to the water, but that's the easiest way to get to the food. There's fish, there's people. People are normally next to water. Everything really chills around water because it's water.
And they are cold-blooded.
Yeah.
So that, they're like an alligator or whatever there. So think marshes, swamps, ponds. Anywhere where there's a solid body of water.
The ocean too.
Oh, yeah, even the ocean.
That's scary.
That is
just surfing.
Totally. I mean, there definitely could be in the ocean if they are enough to like. They're very. There's a lot of mutants. So if something can be mutated to the point we're going to talk about, they can definitely be like saltwater versions. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing.
Like they have like flippers. They're like a place
I don't know
with
about
a bunch
flippers.
of heads.
They're all saltwater crocodiles. Like they would just be like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so big time water. In terms of their like water can be in a lot of places though. So you're not gonna find them in the Arctic because again they're reptiles.
Probably not the desert too.
The desert doesn't have water, but yes, not the desert. You're not gonna find them in extremes. They're cold blooded. They want somewhere that's like fairly warm, like a nice Florida or jungle. Yeah, jungle, forest, and then they have that body of water to cool off in. They're cold blooded, right? That's how it works. But their hide is especially resistant and insulative, if that's a word. And so they can survive in more extreme environments if they need to, but they're animals. They go where they want to go. They're not going to go to extreme environments. And extreme environments typically have way less food. Like deserts and Arctic tundras, which are deserts as well. They don't have a lot of food. They
got no food.
Like they're harsh places to live, so not many things live there. And so Hydras wouldn't really do well.
Except for Christmas elves. Hydra could feast on all of them.
Yeah.
The Hydra who stole
could end
Christmas.
Yeah, but Hydra would be dealing with major magic.
Freaking Santa comes up with the sleigh.
Yes.
Santa's
Krampus comes.
Santa's actually
You must be punished.
a level 20 wizard. He slayed dragons.
We got for Christmas episode. We should do like a Santa or Krampus or something. Anyway,
Santa versus
that is
Angel.
Completely off topic.
Sorry,
so off topic. It's egregious.
Not super off
Okay.
topic.
But pregnant hydras will especially be near water. Hydras don't have to be near water.
So
they're fine without being near water. But pregnant ones are especially near water. They're not like frogs, so they don't have to give birth in the water.
Well, yeah, but
they
they're
lay
like
eggs.
crocodiles, I guess.
They're like crocodiles. So they really like to build nests. Pregnant ones do. And a nest is the closest thing you're probably going to get to a lair for a hydra. So if you have a pregnant / recently pregnant or like it just gave birth, I don't know. Whatever it's called. Yeah, something that just laid eggs. Hydra. It will likely be in a nest, which is sometimes of their own creation. Like they'll pile on like logs and sticks. They like the nest to be in dense trees because it allows for protection. Also, if something were to venture in, it can corner it. So it's just like a strategic thing that hydras innately do. It does like mud and water. It wants that because if there is a body of water, it feels very comfortable in the water. It's very good at swimming, so it can retreat in the water if it needs to, or hunt in the water, right? And then the mud is also just further protection. It's this giant thing. If creatures were to try to venture in and steal an egg or something, which would be a very smart thing to do in terms monetarily. So people are probably trying to do it. It will be difficult terrain, and the Hydra may not be affected by that terrain because it's so big, and like knee-high mud to a human is not knee-high mud to a Hydra. It can probably just move right up to you. So.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
So that's what their lairs typically
that's
are.
Really scary.
The water is not for only escape, but also for if it does fight. If something's like shooting at it, it can be good cover for range attacks. And I'd say the last thing that could be common for a Hydra lair is quicksand. More like muddy quicksand, where like you could get sucked into like just a really dense thing of mud. Like you could just be really deep, and you get sucked into. Because if you think there's this giant,
kind of like tar,
not like tar, but think of like this giant beast, like rolling around in this small area. Like it's gonna kick up the dirt and the mud and mix the water around, and it's gonna create this extremely, like deep pit of mud that to it is not super deep, but to a human would be.
Kind of like I kind of think of like do you remember the mud horn from the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I think. Like imagine like a sort of a desert,
but way bigger. So the mud may even be. It's gonna be deeper than that.
Yeah.
Like way bigger than that.
Yeah.
So
and it might be just in the middle of the freaking forest with water. But like mud.
Right. It won't. If you're gonna have mud, you're probably gonna also have water. You're not gonna have mud without water. You're not gonna just have a random layer in the middle of the forest that's muddy. That doesn't make any sense. The mud is caused because of this giant animal moving in between the water and the dirt, and you're creating mud. But that's an awesome way to make a nest like a difficult environment to fight in for players.
Yeah, make it difficult terrain so they move super slowly while the Hydra runs around. Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, so generally gist of the layers water is pretty cool. Anything that deals with water is their favorite.
Yeah.
Brings food, hard for food to run, and then you get food.
Yeah.
So,
but just say again,
happy Hydra.
Not any water. It's going to be like nice water, like Florida weather. Where alligators would be typically.
Yeah.
It's going to be nice weather, period. And then boat by water too. They're reptiles. Yeah. They're reptiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wherever their lair is, it will only be their lair as long as there's food there, and it will leave. It's nomadic.
Food, it's gonna leave.
Yeah.
Yep. So now we get into combat strategies. I kind of
wait before we get there. One last thing. This is very minor. There's not gonna be any corpses or carcasses in a lair.
They literally.
They would never let that happen. They're eating everything, right? They would never just have something sitting out. No, they're eating it.
So maybe a sign of sign that there's a Hydra. It's like there's nothing, literally nothing.
Yeah, maybe not even bones.
Not even like.
Oh right, like foreshadowing to a Hydra could be like, you're finding no animals. It's not gonna hunt birds, but like you find nothing.
Might be that one bird that's like squeak squeak. It's gonna freaking kill you. And then, like, the druid's like, what?
I don't think it'd be able to catch a little bird. Bird's just going to fly away.
But the bird is going to tell the druid's like, bro, don't go in the river, dude. There's some horrible monster. Ate my cousin, the pelican.
I'd say the fact that there's no corpses and carcasses is less of a sign of a Hydra and more of a way that PCs won't know there's a Hydra. Because it's like, wait, this looks kind of lair-ish. Oh, but there's no bodies. There can't be anything dangerous here.
Just water. Well, honestly, you shouldn't really say, like, oh, this is lairy. They can literally be anywhere.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, like, let's say they're sus. You know what I mean?
Sus.
Like this, because they could be in a cave or something. So it's like, okay, because caves have water in them, right? You could have a cave.
Cavern Hydra, that would be sick.
Yeah, that'd be super scary. And you could go in and be like, is there something in this water? And you could be like, well, there's nothing dead here. And you'd think you would find them, right? If this is some sort of, like, trap. But no bodies. So it's like, oh, seems pretty safe to me.
Starts to drink the water. Huh. Oh. Dead.
Dead. Yeah, okay.
Which goes into our combat strategies.
Perfect.
So imagine you, as the party, walk up to a river. You're like, look, guys, there's no alligators. There's literally nothing here to kill us. You start to drink the water. You realize there's not even fish. You're like, dang. Man, amazing water. Tastes great. Nothing polluting it, right? Until the Hydra becomes a freaking crocodile. Lashes, like, they'll literally jump out of the water like a crocodile. Its heads will grab anything that's living. When it does grab something, so that this kind of goes in, like, Hydras, like, when they have something in their mouths, they go for it. So when it grabs the poor wizard, or the poor ranger, or the idiot barbarian, it doesn't pay attention to everyone else, it starts to eat it. Literally just starts to eat you.
Yeah.
So that's its combat strat. It just eats you.
It just eats you.
Like, basically, if you get downed, it's not going to be like, oh, let me go kill everyone else. When you get downed, that's bad. It'll just bite you 3 times and you're dead. Literally, probably the Hydra's the worst if you get downed.
Yeah,
because
like,
it gets
food.
advantage and it has so many attacks. It will instantly kill you.
Yeah.
Basically.
And so Hydras, they're super dumb, right? So in no way are you being strategic. But what you do need to know is what they instinctually do. And it just so happens to be probably the most strategic thing they could do. And that is, so you were just talking about if they're in the water.
There'll be alligator.
There'll be an alligator.
Lunge.
They'll surprise attack you and maybe take you into the water, eat you, and then go back up, get some more, come back down. But let's say they're on land, because you can find them just as easy on land. And this is where strategy is a little more relevant because they're able to maneuver. Like, as a PC in the water, you're just kind of on your boat, right? So they're going to attack you, they're going to leave, they're going to attack you, they're going to go in the water, attack you, stuff like that. But when you're on land, it gets a little more strategic. So what they typically will do is something very similar. They will pick the first thing they see. Now, there are two other factors on what they choose to attack first. It's typically just whatever's in front of them because they're not smart.
Or if one's the mega ripped barbarian.
No, they don't care about size or anything. What they care about are 2 things. The lesser thing is if it's something's armored. They may look at something armored and actually not really care about it. Like, it's not only harder to eat,
it doesn't look
but
like
it
food.
Doesn't look as much
Why
like
is
food.
it walking metal?
Yeah, right, exactly. So it may take a little longer for them to realize, like, oh, that's something I want to eat. So that's one thing. So they may avoid an armored person.
But it'll still eat the armor.
It will still eat them. Just if it's got to make a second decision of who they're attacking, I would say don't pick an armored player.
Pick the guy
it just
with,
doesn't
like,
make as much sense.
Wearing the furs, like the furred barbarian. That.
Oh yeah, just he's like showing off the meat.
He's showing off the meat. He has like the fur stripping. He has like the beard. You know, maybe he's a Goliath or something.
He's practically seducing the Hydra.
Literally, yeah. Literally, bards have no chances. The barbarians that seduce the Hydras. Or maybe it's like, maybe you have a Minotaur player. Freaking cow.
Ooh, beef. Yeah, you could have that. Yeah. But so the one thing they do target, and this is interesting because they're not smart, is they'll target fire. So if a PC pulls out a flame tongue or pulls out a torch,
it's not scared of you. It's gonna eat you.
It's like, we don't like fire. We're killing you right now. So that's interesting. But typically we'll fight whatever's in front of it, and this is what it does. So you can I think Hydras are depicted a lot of times as like they just jump in the middle of a party and their heads like split up and kind of bite whoever's in front of them. And that's
kind of weird because like to like their whole like ideology, I guess they just want to eat. So what I think is they'll just grab one thing, don't care about anyone else, and then they'll just rip them apart, eat them, and just move on.
That is what they'll do. So I mean, you could do either. We were doing research on this. Both of them have been said, but I think the one where they just try to eat something immediately fits way more with everything else.
I mean, maybe like one head's probably like, hey, get back. You know, it's probably snapping at the other people like, get back, I'm eating. You know, like.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, that head would probably like, I want food too. Give me food. So honestly, I kind of feel like Hydras would not be like, let's divide and conquer. They're like, eat.
I think this could be linked to the number of heads it has. So Hydras don't really fear players. Like, if they see a human, there's like no reason for it to fear them. So it'll just jump in the middle of them and be ready to eat. If it's got a bunch of heads, it may split up just because all the heads are there's too many to be focused on one.
And maybe one person's closer to one head than the other.
Exactly. So maybe they will divide and conquer in that way. But typically, if you just have like the 5-headed Hydra, it will use 1 or 2 of them to grab and grapple its prey. And so you can imagine like a person like it grabs both its arms and just like holds it out.
And then one head just goes for the head.
Then the other 3 or 4 just like quick succession piranha style just go like and just throw a frenzy of bites.
Actually, I'm pretty sure their teeth are like pythons too. So when they bite you, they'll pull, and those hooked fangs will just rip.
Yeah.
Rip apart, yeah. So not fun.
Not fun.
They're kind of like grapple teeth.
If you're the unlucky player in your party that gets chosen to get attacked first, you are at great risk of dying because it's just going to hold on to you until you die. And you probably won't get to do anything except try to get out, but good luck because it may have multiple heads grappling you. So you have to get out of all of them. And if you get out of one, you're still grappled by the other, and it can just reattach. So if you get picked first, your party members need to think about you and think about, like, you're going to die. We need to help you right now. You know what I mean?
The cleric runs up, taps him in the back of the neck, healed. You're like, oh, my arm comes and instantly gets ripped off again. That's how you instantly feed a Hydra. Just have one cleric, and you're just instantly, like, healing a whale or something.
Sure.
And the Hydra's like, oh my god, this is amazing. So you could technically you can make a Hydra overeat and explode.
I don't think you can make a Hydra over... Well, I mean, that's a lot of spells. I don't think
that's
any
a
cleric
lot
can do
of food, too.
It's a lot of food. But okay. But so their strategy is grab someone, grapple them, and the other heads are just eating them until they're dead and gone. Not just dead, till they're gone. And then... Well, yeah, so if you drop to 0 hit points while the Hydra is attacking you, you probably won't survive the next turn because
if it hits you 3 times, you're each, and if it gets a critical hit,
it's double. But it doesn't need a critical hit. It's got enough heads to outright kill the character in 1 turn. Because even if it's using 2 heads to grapple you, and you've now dropped to 0 hit points, its next turn it will use its other 3 to bite you, and it's got like +8 to hit or something. It's got something crazy.
+8 or 6,
something high. So it's probably gonna hit.
Oh, sorry.
So it will kill you. Are you okay?
I'm good.
Okay, Ethan's dying over here.
I'm great. Tuberculosis.
Yeah, I'm sure you feel a lot better than whoever would get killed by a Hydra. But yeah, Hydras, they are deadly.
Hydras would be a bad death too. Like they don't.
And think about it.
They don't mercy kill you. They just rip you apart.
They just rip you apart. But think about this from D&D standpoint. You love your character. You don't want it to die. If a Hydra grapples you, that has got to be one of the scariest things because again, you probably will not be getting out because if you use your action to get out of one head, you're still in the other. And then next turn, it's just going to use one of its heads to grab you again. So, like, you're caught in a cycle you can't win in terms of grappling.
So, like...
But just hang on. Let me finish this thought. So, right now, you're like, I can't do anything for myself, relying on these players to kill this Hydra.
That's why you suicide bomb them.
So, what the players might do is they might cut off the heads that are holding you. But again, what does that do? 2 more grow in their place, so that's not good. And then the grappling cycle might restart. But they have so many hit points. And every time... So let's say your players are trying to help you out by killing the Hydra. They chop off the hit points. Sure, they helped you in that moment, but now the Hydra's going to regenerate. Hit points and heads. It's going to be stronger, and it just might do it again, right? Those heads don't necessarily pick a new target. They might just keep going to you.
They're like, oh, well, oof.
So if you get chosen, like I would run. I'd be like, oh, we're done.
Probably the best thing is to either be a high armored paladin or be a barbarian with the totem of the bear.
You need to be a tank.
You literally have to be a tank.
The thing is,
if you're a wizard or anyone else, you're literally dead.
Well, I think being a rogue or like a monk or something might be really valuable because avoiding
the bites
is really good. Taking the dodge action would be amazing, right? Like, do monks get dodge as a bonus action at some point? I'm pretty sure they do.
Monks are crazy. They can, like, run on water. I believe. Like, if you're a shadow monk, if it's dim, they can just teleport. So cool. If it just has you
but that's really valuable because all these heads will be coming at you.
Step would be really good. If you have Misty Step,
so
that's
avoiding
how
the Hydra would be really good. Like, you slice it, and then you teleport. Slice it, teleport. Although, that's going to be hard to do. But Hydras are you don't mess around. Like, they will kill you and move on. So that's their main combat strategy. They will sometimes, and this doesn't necessarily mean anything good for you, the heads will fight for a certain... So they won't fight, but they'll play like tug of war in a way. Like, they'll both grab you, and they're both just trying to eat you, and so they'll pull you. And that can do damage to you per turn. And the problem with that is if you do get dropped to 0 hit points, that could instantly kill you. You could get ripped apart. And there's mechanics for that somewhere.
If you're grappled?
It's kind of a homebrew, but it goes along with their nature, and the heads will tug a war for you. They'll like... One head will have your leg, one will have your arm.
Wouldn't that just be like bite damage though? They're like pulling.
Yeah, bite damage or something. But you can homebrew it to where like when you get dropped, it rips you apart and you instantly kills you, which is bad. But that is homebrew. Don't necessarily do it if you don't want to.
It's realistic though. Like you're not
realistic.
I don't think your guy's just gonna be just unconscious, just like just being like ripped apart. Like sorry, if you just like
hit
die.
The castle back there.
Huh?
You hit the castle.
The castle shakes with my might.
Yes.
But literally, I don't think you're just gonna be a limp unconscious dude. You're just dead.
Yeah. I just realized we are a podcast. Ethan hit the green screen behind us. That's what we're talking about, castle. For those who can't see us. Anyway, but yeah, so that's combat strategies. A few more things. They can also occasionally, they got so many heads flailing around. As the DM, you could totally do the shove action, and then trample the PC afterward.
Oh God. Why would they do that though? They would just.
That's just an animal thing. Like they may not be doing it intentionally.
I guess if the first person they see is they see the chunky, thick barbarian effect.
Yeah.
In the back, and they don't see the rogue right there. They'll just get up and run you over.
Right.
Not even seeing you.
No, exactly. Yeah. So that's one other thing that could happen. In terms of their movement, so they will basically act like a tank. Like they'll walk around clumsily, but in clear directions.
They'll actually grab you and go to the water and eat you there, right?
No, I'm pretty sure they'll just start eating you. Oh. They don't really retreat unless you're winning. And so I might as well say that. They will retreat if you're winning.
So they don't fight to the death.
They don't normally fight to the death.
Makes sense.
But I should note that they may be less willing to retreat, or they may wait a little longer to retreat than other animals because they are so used to regenerating that they're used to damage not really being a big deal. But that does not override that they will run away if they're about to die.
Wait, so one thing I was kind of curious is so they have health, right? But they literally states in the lore, you have to kill every head, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you did 40 damage. Right, you technically only killed 2 of the heads, right?
Yeah, so we're talking the math here. So if you deal 25 damage, and you kill 1 head, 2 heads pop up with 20 extra hit points. So yeah, so you're saying you could eventually get to a hit point level where you have
you get through the 170 technically.
Right, you get through the 170, but they have so many heads.
I kind of feel you have to.
That actually, that's perfect. Remember that question you asked about...
can you stab their body and kill them?
No. You said how many heads can it have? How many heads can the body support? Perfect. That's the number. When you get to the point where the 175 hit points are down, and it's got 100 heads, its spine snaps, and it dies. Its body can't support the heads.
Or you can have it where once you get to that point, how many number of heads... It kind of once it gets to that point, you can kill it without it regenerating.
But why would that be?
Its body. What reason? Well, because its head, it was literally designed to carry all those heads. Its brain is in its spine.
But everything has limits.
Neck. That is true, but I don't think it would just freaking die because it would just combust.
Well, I think it would because that's so many heads. It's yes, this body can hold a lot of heads, but how many heads would it take? We'd have to someone's got to do the math. So basically, every 25. 1 head.
That means for 100 HP.
Oh wait, no. It's just what's its hit point? 170 what?
It's 172.
172 divided by 5. No clue.
100 hit points is 8 heads. And we said this thing can have 30.
We can probably have more from our math. What's 172 divided by 5? It's like, it's not...
Well, I mean, that's only like 12 heads.
It's like 1,000?
What?
What
math are you doing?
172 divided by 5.
No, I'm literally saying, like, let's say I did 50 damage, that's 4 heads. So I said if you do 100 damage, you got 8 heads, right? And in the lore, this thing can have 30. So it would have, like... So technically, if you got through the 170, you would have, like, 12 heads? 14 heads?
Wait, what?
Yeah. So you start with 5.
Okay, I'm horrible at math. Let's just say 172 divided by 5 is how many heads it can have before its body snaps. From our math.
I don't think its body should snap. I think that's, like, to the breaking point where it can't physically regenerate its heads. So that means you can physically just kill it.
Okay.
So, like, it kind of has double its health, I guess, or I don't know.
But the thing is, it is...
Or, like, whatever health it has left over.
But it's at 0 hit points. That's the whole point. Like, why wouldn't it just die? That's the whole point of 0 hit points. So you're dead.
Is that kind of like, that means you actually do, like, stab in the brain? Which is, like...
Or its body, or its spine snaps.
Or, like, its brain. Well, it has multiple spines.
All of them snap.
It's just like, hey guys, we're gonna lose. You just all
right, whatever. It's up to the DM. There's no clear answer.
You stab its heart.
But in my opinion, that should be where the body is just. It's not magical. It's not a magical body. It cannot hold that. So
literally, its brain just combusts and dies.
Well, no, I think it would be a weight issue. It's got a body, but there's so many heads on top of it,
and it like crushes its lungs.
No, I think it would be something about it where the neck and connects to the body. Like, it's just too heavy. It just or it's just like animals can be like Godzilla, right? That its weight would just crush itself, or like whales. If whales aren't on the land, they get crushed.
So that means, I guess, if you drop it to 0 hit points, it's not initially instantly dead. But you remember, 0 hit points means it can like go unconscious or something.
Sure.
So like maybe it just physically can't support itself. It plops to the ground, and if you leave it there, it'll die of suffocation, because they can suffocate.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
You can like suffocate a Hydra.
All right, I think we've been talking about this way too long.
That would be funny.
But if anyone
like
was worried about what would happen, we hopefully gave you plenty of information.
I mean, that would be so funny though. You like stab a Hydra, it's like, this thing's unstoppable. It just stops, realizing, wait, too much, dies, falls over.
All right, but let's end this topic because we've been talking about it so long. So a few more. So that's the main strategy of a Hydra. A few more things. It does have a 10-foot range, so it's not gonna like go up for no reason, right? It will probably keep its distance, and the PC will have to be the one to come in. But remember, opportunity attacks. So it can use its reactions to get a lot of opportunity attacks, and that's I believe 10 feet, because if you're 10 feet, that is in its range. You know what I mean? So if you leave or go through that 10-foot radius, it could do a reaction attack you with all its heads.
Oh god.
And that's a ton of damage. Imagine it does its action, attacks you with all its heads, and then you leave. It gets to attack you with all its heads again. That's like another 50 damage.
I kind of like imagine like you get attacked and you start to limp, but one head like reaches, grabs your ankle, and like pulls you up, and all the heads just freaking just kill you. That kind of like what I imagine. Like if you want to like describe it, it's like you're like hurt, kind of like lets you go for some reason. I'm not sure if it would, but like you break out of it, you start to like limp away, not disengaging because of the dumb player you are. It'll like reach, grab your ankle, pull you back, and it just rips you.
And I should mention, I don't think we mentioned, the extra reactions it has can only be used for opportunity attacks, which I guess, depending on how you DM, can include grapples and shoves and stuff. But they're probably just bites.
Well, I kind of think it's like a snake biting, like it's reaction. So it's not gonna be like, oh, I get a bunch of trampling. You know, it's just like, oh, you're running away. I'll pull you back to me and I'll eat you. That's what I think. It's like.
But to be realistic, so this would probably be the typical circumstance. You have the Hydra focused on one person, and the PCs are probably around this Hydra attacking it. And so what would be the most strategic thing to do, as the DM being the Hydra, is the PCs that go in and out of the Hydra's range would probably be the people that are targeted by their reaction opportunity attacks. But But let's be realistic in terms of the role playing of the Hydra. The Hydra is probably hyper focused on what it's eating, and because it knows damage gets regenerated, it's probably not really. It doesn't really care that things are stabbing it, and so it probably may not use its reaction to attack these PCs, although it could. Like that would.
It probably won't though.
It probably wouldn't if you're just being.
Unless you have just a stupid
accurate
amount of heads, though. Like,
if you have so many heads that they're just all over the place. I kind of feel like,
I mean, how, so a head is, like, big as, like, half a person?
Yeah, they're pretty big.
So, like, max 3 heads a person? That's kind of how I think about it. It's like 3 heads would be...
But they can attack at different times, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I guess so, but, like, you know, you would have 2, like, 2 are pulling, and 1 is, like, biting it. I feel like for a medium-sized humanoid, like 2 other heads couldn't fit in that. Like they would probably fight.
Yeah, but they are like piranhas, and they are desperate and in a frenzy to eat you. All of the heads are. So like there might be 2 holding you, but the other ones, one will fight, and the other one will push past it and attack you as well. They're all fighting to bite you. So they'll get their way in. You know what I mean? And so you could totally have a lot of heads attack one person, but maybe there is a limit. Like if it's got 30 heads, maybe not all 30 heads would plausibly attack.
Maybe one head in the back looking sad, wanting food. He looks over and sees that scrumptious halfling back there, wearing all the rations for the party. He's like, you know, kind of like a Sam from Lord of the Rings. He's like, he gets snack in a snack.
I don't understand.
Well, do you remember Sam? He just got all the food. He has, like, all the rations.
But what does this relate to?
But, like, imagine one Hydra head, he just looks over and he's like, ooh, there's food over there. And he grabs that one while the other heads are eating on the big barbarian.
Oh, yeah. The heads may split apart.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of them.
God, that would be scary. Okay. You literally see 2 of your friends getting ripped apart by, like, 15 heads. And
Hydras are insanely scary.
And you're like the only wizard. You're like, yeah, I'm out. You run away.
Yeah.
Don't be that person.
But that's all I got for combat strategies. Anything else?
So, gist of combat strategies. They'll surprise you. Coming out of the water, they'll grab someone and rip them to literal shreds.
Yep.
Don't care about anyone else unless they have a frick bunch of heads left. And then they'll go after those people, if they can. But piranhas, they'll eat the person in front of them, and they won't go to the next person until that guy's gone.
Yeah, and that guy will be gone pretty quick.